Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to have an update on the police-involved shooting from Waukegan, Illinois from October 20th of last week. And in that shooting, you know that 19-year-old Marcellis Stinnette lost his life, and our client, 20-year-old Tafara Williams, suffered multiple gunshot wounds and remains hospitalized. You will hear from her in a moment, telling what happened in her own words. And you'll hear now from several attorneys and several family members. Let me spell those names for you so you've got that on the record, and then we'll get underway. Antonio Romanucci, A-N-T-O-N-I-O, Romanucci, R-O-M-A-N-U-C-C-I. Ben Crump, I believe you should be familiar with that spelling. You will hear from Mother Tina Johnson, T-I-N-A, J-O-H-N-S-O-N. You'll hear from Brother Ashante Williams, E-S-H-A-U-N-T-E, Williams, standard spelling. You will then hear from Aunt Latoya Johnson, L-A-T-O-Y-A. We will take live comments from Tafara Williams, T-A-F-A-R-A Williams. And then we will end with her sister, Sasha Williams, S-A-S-H-A. Let Ben Crump get us going with our remarks.
Okay. Come up with just a little closer. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Antonio Romanucci. We have the honor of representing Tafara Williams, who, even though she's not present with us, she will be talking with you from the hospital via Zoom, telling you what happened, because these tragic circumstances, even though it took the love of her life, she survived, and she lived to tell what happened to Tina Johnson and Trevor Williams' daughter. This is a big, loving family who is coming out here today, not only demanding justice and transparency, but most of all, they are begging for your prayers for Tafara, who is Tina's only daughter, to make as full of a recovery as possible, even though her body was mutilated with bullets. And they're also asking for prayers for her and Marcellis' 7-month-old son, that she now has to raise this Black child in this world all by herself. But thank God she has a big, loving family that includes not only her mother and father, but also all of these incredible, beautiful people. To name a few, her Aunt Latoya Johnson, who's going to speak to you, as well as her brother, Ashante Williams, and sister, Sasha Williams, who are a great example for their little sister. And so, without further ado, a man who is one of the best civil rights lawyers, but best human beings who I've had the honor to work with and fight with around the country. We represent George Floyd's family in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We represent Javier Amler's family in Austin, Texas. And I'm so proud that we're a little closer to his home, Chicago, Illinois, to represent such a wonderful, Tafara Williams, if you're in a room with her, her smile lights up the room, even if it's in a hospital where she is tied up to machines. That's how radiant this young lady is. And so I give you Tony Romanucci, and then we'll have the family address you before you hear from Tafara. Tony.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. Thank you, Ben Crump, the legendary and the legend civil rights attorney. I'm honored and humbled to stand behind this family and stand in front of you, and thank you for being here and being so strong and courageous. I also want to acknowledge my co-counsel, not only Ben Crump, but Bhavani Ravindram and Nicolette Ward. It is disheartening that I stand before you again and talk to you about a police shooting that is needless, senseless, and never should have happened. But indeed, in this year of 2020, once again, we stand before you and we talk about needless harm, harm that should never have happened, death that should never have happened, Tafara, whose suffering will be lifetime and permanent. But I want to bring a message also to you now, one of positivity. We want to make this city, Waukegan, right now the example of accountability and transparency in policing. What Waukegan has done will give this family a sense of peace. It will not restore what has happened. Let's make that clear. And I am not condoning the actions of this police officer. We are condemning it. We could not be more critical of what this police officer did, because what he did was nothing short of a profile. He profiled these poor people because of the color of their skin. That was their crime. They were committing no crime at all. And this now, we make this ground zero. Do you hear me, Chicago? Do you hear me, Milwaukee? Do you hear me, Minneapolis? This is the time for change. This message you can bring right now across the country and show what Waukegan does when somebody commits a wrong. When you commit a wrong, you fix it right away. You don't lie about it. You don't hide it. You front it. And that's what they're doing. I can tell you that Ben and I just had a meeting with the mayor. We've been assured and promised transparency, and I'm going to take that to heart. What this will do for the family, we don't know yet, but we hope that it will lead to healing, not only for this family, not only for Tafara and Tina, but for the community, for Waukegan and this country. This must stop. And this is the beginning. We aim to make this the beginning. Make no mistake, that doesn't mean that we won't file our lawsuit. We will file the lawsuit, and there's a reason for it. Because without that, we cannot make the permanent changes that we require in this country and in this community, because not only will we be seeking monetary relief, but also injunctive relief. And what does that mean? We want policy changes. Waukegan has done the right steps. Now we need to make sure that it won't happen again. We hope this message is loud and clear. I am grateful, I'm thankful, and we'll be here to take questions afterwards, but now I want to turn it over back to Ben.
Thank you so much, Attorney Romanucci. And, you know, as I was talking to Tina and Latoya and their family, we talked about Breonna Taylor, who was executed in her own home in Louisville, Kentucky. We talked about George Floyd, who was tortured to death from a police officer having his knee on George's neck as he said, "I can't breathe," 28 times. We talked about Jacob Blake Jr. not too far from here, Ashante literally gets shot 7 times in front of his 3 sons, ages 8 years old, Latoya 5 years old, and 3 years old. And the fact that these young Black children are gonna have psychological problems from our police having deliberate indifference and Tony Romanucci using excessive, brutal force, once again, on an African-American. And now Tina and Trevor have to try to talk to their 20-year-old daughter about what is she gonna tell Marcellis Stinnette Jr. when he asks for his father. I think so often, Sasha, about when does it end? When does it end, America? How many more Black people have to be killed because of police brutality, excessive force, implicit bias, systematic racism, deliberate indifference? How many more times, America? How many more times do we have to tell our children that this isn't right, that we deserve a better America, a more just society, that we don't have to explain the talk to Marcellis Jr., to Jacob Blake III, to George Floyd's children? I mean, how many more times, America? That's what we're saying. Let Waukegan be the example. I know, Mayor Cunningham, you all voted for me. I know him personally. I pray that they will set the example, as Attorney Romanucci said, that this is the model of how we deal with this disease of Black people being killed by the people who's supposed to protect and defend them. And so with this, we demand transparency plus accountability. Arthur Reed is how we get to trust. Black Lives Matter, that's how we get to trust. Transparency plus accountability equals trust. And that's the problem, mistrust. We want to be able for Tina and Trevor to know that their daughter will get equal justice under the law as she lay in this hospital battling to make sure that she can recover from these injuries and raise her and Marcellis's child the best she can, knowing that he has been taken away from her. With that, how many more times, America? I'm going to bring to you the mother of Tafara, who's going to address you briefly. Y'all know this is very emotional. They didn't sign up for this. So, you know, they're gonna do their best. Miss Tina Williams. I mean, Miss Tina Johnson, and she's with Trevor Williams, the mother and father.
I am Tina Johnson, Tina Johnson. I'm the mother of Tafara Williams. This is her father.
I'm Trevor Williams, Trevor, Trevor Williams, Tafara's father.
And I just want to take the time out to thank the Howell family for supporting me everywhere I've been. I thank y'all so much, because y'all have stood on this ground with me from day one, genuinely. And I'm so sorry for y'all loss. I had to stop and thank you, because every day y'all texted me and made sure that I was all right. But I'm gonna stay focused on what we're here for.
And you can take the mask off while you talk. Take your time.
Tafara is my child, my only baby. I'm asking you to pray for her and my grandson, Marcellis Stinnette Jr. My father was raised in church at Greater Faith Baptist Church in Waukegan, Illinois. Tafara is the strongest person I have ever met. She loves everybody and has a heart of gold. She is a good mom, and Marcellis was a great father to their baby. He was a gentle soul, and I can still see the smile upon his face. I'm here demanding justice to hold these officers accountable for what they did to Marcellis and Tafara. This happened to my child and her boyfriend this time. But if America doesn't stop this disease of violence, this could be anyone's child. I'm demanding justice for Marcellis and Tafara Williams.
What happened to Tafara should have not happened. Today for us, tomorrow for you. I'm asking the federal government to please make this speedy so we could have some rest, because I can't sleep at night. And I'm getting very angry, and I'm trying to hold my anger as best as I can. I'm asking the federal government to please give us some help, because I know you can do it.
Amen. Next, we will hear from Tafara's brother, Ishante Williams.
I'm the older brother of Tafara Williams. Obviously, this is really hard for us in our family. You know, imagine having to get a call. You way in Houston, Texas, you hear that your little sister's been shot by the police nonetheless, right? Justice. That's all we asking for. Is that too much to ask for? It's obviously too much to ask for the police to protect and serve, right? That's their only job. And a lot of times they can't even do that. Enough is enough. We're tired of this happening. It hits even worse when it's somebody at home, right? This is a mother of 2 children, 2 Black children, and not one got to grow up without a father. Too many people know what that feel like, and they shouldn't have to go through that. They shouldn't have to go through that at all. Let's please, whoever watching this, whoever gonna see this, please make sure you go to your communities, you stand up, make sure that this is the last time that somebody has to go through this. I don't want no other family to experience this. I don't want no other family to experience the heartbreak that we gotta go through. And like Tina said, Tafara is strong. She is strong. She lights up the room. Yeah. I'm gonna end on this. I got to see her for the first time the other day since I've been out here. And what she said to me, and then we both laughed about it afterwards, she said, "Hey, brother, them jokers tried to take me out, man, but I'm too strong." She too strong. Too strong. I love it. That's
beautiful. Next, we will hear from Tafara's aunt, Latoya Johnson.
How everybody doing today? My name is Latoya Johnson, LatoyaJohnson, Johnson, and I'm just tell you a little bit about Tina. Tina has my mom has 5 girls. We're all close knit. My oldest sister is Nargile. Tina is about the 3rd oldest, and I'm the youngest out of the 5 girls. So with that just being said, we are a close family. We are a tight knit family, and one of the reasons this even got going because I called the news. I called Mayor Cunningham, and I did not stop until y'all got here. And then now that we here, like Mr. Romanucci was saying, we want transparency. We want accountability. Like my brother was saying, we want justice. Giving us 1 Latino police officers to silence us is not enough. If this was a white police officer, would this have moved that fast? You have to ask yourself. You know, not trying to make like this is not black and white, but it's still that. And even though this officer was Latino, yeah, he's held accountability. But if this was a white officer, would we have got the same result in the same amount of time? You have to ask yourself this. And I know we working on one camera, no body cam. Where's the rest of the cameras? Where's the initial camera from the initial car, from the initial stop, from racial profiling? Where's the camera from NOSCO? These are the questions that we are asking. And I am losing my voice in the process of this. But I'm not going to stop. My voice is going to get lost in the process until justice is made. We need transparency. We need accountability. We need somebody to step up and say, we messed up.
Come on.
We messed up. Mayor Cunningham Johnson family, we love y'all. Junebug, Mary Cunningham and his mother. My grandma's 82 years old. She She called Mary Cunningham, which is Sam Cunningham's mother. She must have got on the phone when she told it, Junebug, you better do right by my family. We are a good family. And Mayor Cunningham needs to do right by us. And one Latino officer will not be enough.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. I didn't write this down. This is what I feel in my heart. Yes. This is what's coming off the top of my head. I am not a motivational speaker. I am just here for justice for my niece, Tafara Williams, and most importantly, Marcellis Stinnette, because he no longer has a voice.
Yes.
Thank you, Latoya. Jennifer, if we can have your attention, we're going to hear from Tafara.
That's it. Yeah. That's being assistant. That's being assistant.
Co-counsel.
Okay.
My name is Tafara Williams. On October 20, 2020, the Waukegan Police Department opened fire on me and Marcellis Stinnette while we had our hands raised in the air. I lost more than a boyfriend that day. I lost the love of my life and the father of my 7-month-old son. Here's the only thing I had left of Marcellis. Last Tuesday, I had just put my babies to bed and was sitting outside in the driver's seat of my car to smoke outside the house. Marcellis was sitting in the passenger seat, and an officer arrived and pulled up behind my parked car. He didn't turn on his lights or sirens. He got out the police car, so I rolled down my windows and turned on all the lights inside the car so the officer could see I had no weapons and I wasn't doing anything illegal. The officer called Marcellis by name. He asked me, was I Tafara? And told me I was Marcellis' baby mother. Then he started harassing Marcellis. He stood near the car with his left hand on his gun. And he said to Marcellis, I know you from jail. I asked the officer if we were free to leave. I asked him if we were under arrest. The officer took a few steps away from the car and got on his cell phone. I drove away very slowly because I was scared to get out of the car. I drove out to MLK and turned onto it. The officer was not following me. The police lights were not on. When I turned on to MLK, it seemed like there was another officer there waiting for us. There was a crash and I lost control. The officer was shooting at us. The car ended up slamming into a building. I kept screaming, I don't have a gun. But he kept shooting. He told me to get out of the car. I had my hands up and I couldn't move because I had been shot. Marcellis had his hands up. I kept asking him why he was shooting. Marcellis kept shaking. More officers came and were pointing their guns at us. My blood was gushing out on my body. The officers started yelling. They wouldn't give us an ambulance until we got out the car. When I moved, blood seemed to pour out of my body on the floor of the car, on the ground, everywhere, man. I get here and Marcellis still breathing. I told him, please don't shoot. I have a baby. We have a baby. We don't want to die. An officer dragged me away from Marcellis. I begged them to take him first because he had just got surgery not too long ago. They ignored me. They laid Marcellis on the ground and covered him up with a blanket while he was still breathing. I know he was still alive. And they took that away from me instead of letting, oh man. Sorry. He was still breathing. Oh man. And they took me away instead of letting him. Man, they took me away. And allowed him to die. They wanted us to bleed out on the ground. They wanted us to die. Please take me off.
Obviously, you heard how heartbreaking this is on so many levels for Tafara. How she begged them to take Marcellis first. How much she loved him and how she believed that he could have been saved. So that's what Attorney Romanucci and our legal team will be looking at every aspect of what happened from beginning to end, Latoya. Now you will hear from Tafara's sister, Sasha, and this is very emotional, from Sasha Williams.
My name is Sasha Williams, S-A-S-H-A Williams. And today I'll be talking about my little sister. I'll be singing and I'll be also saying a poem. Truth is, I'm tired. Options are few. I'm trying to pray, but where are you? I'm all churched out. I can't fake what's left to do. Truth is, I'm weak. No strength to fight. No tears to cry. Even if I tried. But still my soul refuses to die. Yeah. One touch will change my life. Take me to the King. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn to pieces. It's my offering. Lay me at the throne. Leave me there alone to gaze upon your glory and sing to you this song. Please take me to the King. Now, this is my poem that I made for my sister within like a minute. My Black queen, you are my sister, but we all have the same bloodline. They try to kill our kind, but my sister, you are stronger than a vein that keeps me alive. You are the story to my poem. My Black queen, You are my coverage in my storm. My sister, your sister, I am unarmed. Black queen, be strong. As you resemble me, Black queen, you hold a responsibility. But my Black queen looks up to me. No weapon shall form against she, my Black queen. Thank you.
We are going to take questions now in two formats. Reporters here in front of us in Waukegan, but also for those of you on Zoom, you can type in your question in the Q&A function, and I will be reading those aloud in just a moment.
Tony, you want to step down? Also, I want to acknowledge the presence of Black Lives Matter and the activists who have been standing the whole community with this family. The family would like to thank you all.
Thank you.
So we'll try to take as many questions as appropriate. And Tina, you and Trevor can step down a little bit, even though you're not.
Well, we hope to be able to make arrangements to see, we hope to be able to make arrangements to see that soon. We don't have confirmation on when the family can see it. We're working on that right now. Regarding that second question, I think that's best said to the city or the state's attorney as to when they can be made public.
As soon as possible.
Imminent.
Imminent.
No, he did not say when. All I can tell you that it's imminent. We're just waiting for confirmation.
And he's trying to be transparent. We want to give a lot of credit to Mayor Cunningham.
Absolutely.
They're trying to be transparent, working with Illinois State Police, Tina, and as soon as practical, the families will see the video, and then it is my understanding that after that, it will be released.
That is correct.
That,
we don't know. We're hoping so. It could be tomorrow. We don't know. We have to, unfortunately, there's like 2 or 3 channels that we have to go through in order to see the video. But we're hoping it's soon.
And I think Latoya expressed it, and if anybody knows me, I always say you don't have to say no more, just show the video.
We don't know yet. That we don't know. Obviously, we are so soon into this. We're not in any formal discovery. We're right now at the whim of the city in releasing those videos, and we hope to be able to see as many as possible. The mayor has promised transparency. That would mean to me that we're going to be seeing as many as possible, whether body and dash.
We don't know, but our demand is for transparency, and justice delayed is justice denied. I believe transparency and truth are the cornerstones of justice.
Well said.
Discuss a little bit about the nature of your discussions this morning with the mayor, how that meeting went.
I'll let Tony go first, and then I'll opine.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail about what those discussions were, but I can tell you that the mayor was, I thought, was very forthright. He was sincere. We're going to trust his word in transparency and accountability. And I don't know that we can ask for much more than that. And that's why we have such great hope that, as I said earlier, this is ground zero. If there's going to be an example that I've seen anywhere in the country, and it's not a coincidence that it's just close to home, it happens to be here. I haven't seen this anywhere in the country where there's been action taken this quickly in defining transparency. So we're hoping that this is the model now that is expressed across the country.
Yeah, well, I just want to opine on this. As Tony said, the mayor met with us, and the thing that I got was he considers this his family. I mean, he literally said that, and so I know Rick Hammond, his attorney, there's certain things he can't do now because, as Attorney Romanucci said, the legal process takes the course. But this is family, and I think Latoya talked about Junebug.
Mary Cunningham, his mother.
Mary Cunningham, his mother. And so, you know, this is a community where they know one another. And so I thought it was awfully revealing how the mayor said this is personal to him as well, because he knows these young people, especially Tafara. He knew her from when she was a baby. And so he wants to get to the truth of what really happened there. And Attorney Romanucci and I want to help him and the city get to that truth so it can be a model. It could be a model. The chief of police, the mayor, Rick Hammond, the attorneys for the city, all shared our firm objective to getting to the truth, no matter what that truth is, and having accountability.
Well, I certainly take from it that whatever they saw raised some concerns, and those concerns led to immediate action. That doesn't happen that quickly. I mean, something was amiss, and we're very anxious to see the video. We want to see what happened. Whatever tactics this officer used must have clearly been against policy, not only against policy, but against morality and against humanity for anything to have taken place so quickly.
And I'm gonna just say what Tina and Latoya said. They didn't fire him because he did the right thing. They fired him because he did something wrong.
I think that I don't know anything about this officer's past. I don't even know his name yet.
I'm going to jump in with a question from the New York Times. Excuse me, no, it was Mark Groiner from the Washington Post. They're asking about the relationship between this case and Jacob Blake and Kenosha, given that they're neighboring cities. Any tie there you'd like to talk about?
Certainly. I know that Attorney Pat Savvy and B. Ivy Lamar and I are working on the Jacob Blake Jr. case. And I know Attorney Romanucci and I are working with great lawyers on the George Floyd case. The real connection I see between Jacob Blake Jr., who was shot 7 times in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and this tragedy that saw Marcellis shot to death and Tafara shot multiple times, was the fact that it seems to not be de-escalation when you're dealing with African Americans. I mean, it's almost as if you shoot first and you ask questions later. And that seems to be the connection between these two tragedies in these two cities that are so close to in proximity to one another, with the state line dividing them by a few miles on either side. And so hopefully Kenosha can learn from Waukegan, the fact that they terminated the officers when they saw the video and saw wrong. That hadn't happened yet in Jacob Blake Jr.
Yeah, what we're tired of is the false narrative. The false narrative has to stop because it comes from the police right away. And when people don't have voices, right?
Yes.
He's gone now.
Yes.
He doesn't have a voice. He can't tell his side of the story. But more importantly, what I envision happening here is this police officer who acted so inappropriately last week, he's going to face racial discrimination charges, because that is what the bottom line is.
Yes.
When you want to bring this full circle,
Yes.
this is a racial issue. It is an issue of excessive force. But what is the cause? The underlying cause.
Run there, arrest me. Run my name up. Run there, Alexander. Say how much of these fuck-ass people put a gun to my head. They got cameras and everything. That's what you guys need to report. Emotions are high.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Tony,
So, yeah.
I mean, it all starts from racial profiling.
Okay.
Thank you.
Respect the family. Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
The underlying issue is race. And that's what we aim to change with the lawsuit. Make sure that we highlight that, of course, excessive force was used. We all know that. That's clear. But this is a racial case. And we're hoping that criminal charges are looked at very seriously, not only on a state level, but also a federal level. This officer should undergo a very serious criminal investigation as to why he shot. The underlying reason is race.
Yeah. And as the family said, this ex-officer.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to jump in with a question from,
Hello.
I'm going to jump in with a question from WTTW about injunctive relief and what you may be seeking.
Yeah. Like in Breonna Taylor's case, where there was long-term police reform in the name of Breonna Taylor, hopefully the city of Waukegan, Illinois will consider long-term police reform in the names of Tafara Williams and Marcellis Stinnette. Reforms that talk about de-escalation, as Attorney Romanucci and I have talked about in too many cases around America. De-escalation, the fact that we don't want racial profiling and implicit bias training, and we don't want police to harass the citizens in marginalized minority communities that seems to be suggested here. And so these are the things that we talk about when we start talking about police reform and implicit bias training. Tony can say a word and then we'll go to the next question.
In addition to that, I agree with Ben. The other important part of injunctive relief that we will seek, and this is the part that's painful for all municipalities, but it has to happen in order for there to be meaningful change, you must spend money on training. Police officers must be trained so that it becomes muscle memory for how to encounter citizens who have not committed crimes, how to de-escalate those situations. So really training is going to be the core of part of what our injunctive relief will be seeking.
Got to spend money on mental illness. Mental illness first.
Okay.
I didn't hear.
Her injuries. Her injuries are substantial. Out of respect for the family, I won't go into the vivid details, but she will have permanent scarring and disfigurement for the rest of her life as a permanent reminder of this police excessive force. I mean, physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, she will never be the same, despite how strong as Shantae says she is. She physically survived, but part of her did die on that night.
All right, we'll take one more question.
Last question? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Really quick as far as the GoFundMe and stuff like
Yes. All right. One last comment for the family.
I just want to
Take
thank
your mask off and say this. Let it be clear.
I just want to thank you all for coming out. I want to thank everybody for their support. I want to thank Clyde McClure. He's been with me the whole way through the Black Lives Matter, Rayon Edwards as well. And
All right,
then
get to this point. It's important.
I just wanted to say we did start a GoFundMe for Tafara. It's called Justice for Tafara Williams, and this is for her kids. And then the Marcellis Stinnette family also has one. So if you guys can help them out with that, we'd be highly appreciated. You guys have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
Let's talk back here for a second, everybody.